So let's just see how that overall is going to play out. I'm trading on a new MFFU funded account and on my funding pips account, of course. We just filled in this entirely hourly bullish fair value gap right here. We filled in the 15-minute fair value gap, and we tapped the VWAP. So like said, I entered short right here on this volume imbalance, but to actually push through all of this, I think this could be a little bit more difficult. I'm gonna keep the 1 hour fair value gap here on the chart. We can also use the power of 3 indicator right here. Head over to the ICT all-in-one, turn on power of 3, go to the settings and select 1 hour. There we go. $3 AM opened up, initially took buy side. Let's see, a close below the VWAP would be preferred. This is our 1 hour fair value gap that we're currently working with. Now we see that in front of us, and my eyes are glued to this unfilled volume imbalance right here on the hourly time frame. That's the one right here on the 5-minute time frame. So we opened up, expanded during 2 AM. This is this entire move to the upside, and afterwards, we went sideways. 255, taking out buy side, 3 AM open, immediate bearish engulfing, opening up with that bearish volume imbalance. Enough for an entry for me, leaving behind a bearish fair value gap. Now hopefully closing below this bullish fair value gap right here, turning it into a inversion fair value gap. Looks like we're gonna get a nice closing candle. Okay, we open with a gap back up. It's 3:15, so we got our first 15. Now we're gonna get our first 15-minute candle. 3 AM, 3:15, 5 minutes. Well, we will see. We have a rough idea. Like I said, we wouldn't be surprised if it ends up holding support around the VWAP. We have a inversion fair value gap, bearish fair value gap. I'm going to trail my stop to the 50% level of this wick. If it comes back into this area right here and is closing above, eventually this bearish fair value gap, the volume imbalance, and this inversion fair value gap, well, we could argue that this might have been a London Open manipulation to retrace into this hourly fair value gap to deliver higher prior to the CPI news event. NQ also sold off, formed that lower low, took out the, okay, but it's starting to bounce. We'll see. Doing the same thing here, 50%. Let's put it right here at this high to the left. You're on NQ. Alright, nice. Did you take the short right here or based on a 1-minute time frame maybe? Well, we just took out sell side and we get a strong bullish engulfing. That's typically not the best sign, but let's see. The invalidation for me would be if we see this candle or the very next candle close above this bearish fair value gap. Already pretty happy with the reaction right here. Bullish volume imbalance right up here between 315 and 320. A candle with no wick to the upside and no wick to the downside, closing below the VWAP. This could be our retest for the continuation lower. Our first sell side objective would be the short-term low. and our hourly volume imbalance. In terms of points, I really should have entered with more than 2 contracts here, or with at least 2 contracts, because this is just going to be 5.5 points if we reach this equal low sell side liquidity. Right below here we have a daily bullish fair value gap. This is going to be my main target. We'll see if we can get that up to 189. Take a little partial here because I can. I actually can take partials. That's what I like about my Funding Pips account. Secure profits when profits are made available. 25%. With my mini contract, I can't really do that. But so far, I like what I see. Let's see if we get the same thing on NQ. Yep, a nice rejection wick here to the upside. We didn't tap our volume imbalance just yet. This is that same volume imbalance. You can drag that over to the right and double check our hourly time frame volume imbalance. They always get filled. I also mentioned it in the analysis that I shared earlier this morning inside Trade Ideas, where I started to look at the daily time frame, then the 4-hour time frame, pointing out that 4-hour bearish fair value gap, and then 1-hour time frame bearish market structure shift. Also pointing out, if we take a close look here, that unfilled volume imbalance. So we actually hit the unfilled volume imbalance. We closed right at the low. We didn't take sell side just yet. And if this is going to play out, this would be our accumulation. We could also include this. So this would be our A, our pre-London Open manipulation. We go sideways in a premium. And then we have that last manipulation right up here within our manipulation phase. That last fake out. Same here on NQ, that last stop hunt high. Bearish engulfing candle, volume imbalance as confirmation for the entry lower into our first sell side objective, which would be down here. In terms of what we could use, okay, I'm out of the trade. I'm going to secure another 25% here. Going to move my stop loss to break even. I'm getting really used to MT5 now. It's really cool. I mean, yeah, take partials, took a partial here, took a partial here. My final target is going to be the Asia session sell side liquidity. We just hit the midnight level. We'll see if it wants to turn around. Take profit target all the way down here. Might take another partial on the way. So we took a partial at midnight at the volume imbalance. It's 3:30 now, so if we are going to turn around, we're likely going to do it on this or the very next candle. I would prefer to see a close below this bullish fair value gap. And see how we continue. Nice London. If that's going to play out well, that trade already played out. Right here, my entry short on the MFFU account to the midnight level. Usually I go for 5 point, but it's London session, CPI news day. Midnight level is good enough for me here. If I would have entered this trade with micro contracts, I would still be in a position. Going to close another 25% here and let 25% run, roughly 1 lot with stop at break even. Securing my, this is my main sell side target. Of course, we have equal lows and all that stuff below here, and we might just hit it. That next nice confirmation would be a close below the midnight. We have 2 minutes on the clock. In terms of standard deviation targets, we want to measure from our highest high to our low. So right here we formed high, higher low, higher high. Swept the low, we never closed below this low. Equal lows, higher high. So I would measure from high to low and use my standard deviation ICT projection tool. Let's get rid of 0.5, 0.62. We already hit 0.5 standard deviations. Now we hit the first standard deviation of our manipulation move here to the upside. And those could be used as final targets. 4 and 3.5 standard deviations. If we pull up the daily fair value gap right here, you can see that we're right inside the daily bullish fair value gap. If we get into this area, this blue box right here is that daily fair value gap. We have equal low sell side, so this is our previous day's low. And we have 1 and 2 more lows here formed before the Asia kill zone started. Hourly analysis. Let's see how we close first before we get into that. Because we could theoretically still bounce. It's not out of the card set, that's why I secured my profits. I'm happy with that. I'm not always holding on for, I mean, this would have been an additional, 1 point. We'll see. I secured 75% of my position here on funding pips. Happy with that. The rest is gonna get stopped out at break even. Let's see. Okay, so right here, that's interesting. We closed below this bullish fair value gap, but we actually opened with a gap to the upside. So right here, that's where the stone closing candle closed, and that's where we opened up. So I'm not turning it into a inversion fair value gap yet. Instead, I'm going to be using the lowest bearish fair value gap here as invalidation. If we close above that, I think we could see a short-term retracement or maybe even a full-on reversal. Let's see if we have any questions on Discord. Inversion fair value gap tagged. Yep. We have 25 more minutes to go. Really want to see momentum continue to work towards the Asia session low right here. That's my main point. Otherwise, most of the time, if we are at a extreme, like for example right here, and all we do is go sideways, most of the time here, at least with ES, that's a good sign that we're gonna go the opposite way. And let me actually back this up and find you a couple of examples. We're at the high, we are at the extreme. Don't really go anywhere. PM session starts at 1 PM. We push up, we fail to take buy side, and we rush away. We open with a volume imbalance, and we rush away. Right here, this could have been a scalp entry where all you do is target the short-term low right here. That was London Chop yesterday. Alright, yeah, we had a super bearish move to the downside right here after the 8:30 news candle. But did we continue to move after this expansion right here? No, we started to chop. Well, what does it do most of the times at this extreme? Turn around. Let's see if I can find one more example where we maybe didn't chop. This would be one of them right here. We push, everything is looking bullish, but we just go sideways. And then note the timing right here. 30. So we're started at 5 AM until 6 AM, and we want to look at that half-hour mark. Don't be too precise with it. It could also end up at 25 or 35, but make sure to watch out that 30-minute mark of every hourly candle, especially if we consolidated before and especially if that happens around VWAP. Just wanted to point that out. I've been seeing this more and more recently. Let's zoom into our current trade. Still below the midnight opening level, but this is exactly what we don't want to see. Price going sideways here before hitting our target. Just simply hit our target and be done. Can see that this wick right here retested this inversion fair value gap and actually our breaker block, because this is actually a breaker block and a valid 2022 model at the high of the day. Breaker block, lowest up closing candle, or well, really it should be the lowest down closing candle. So this one right here should be our breaker block. We come back to retest it after closing below and continue to sell off from here. This would be our market structure shift. I'm gonna trail my stop into profit. Well, that's not gonna make a big difference, but anyway, it's a good. We can see that ES actually hit the previous day's low now. So at the same time on my funding pips account, if I zoom out here, we see that we did not hit that previous day's low just yet. So I'm still gonna leave this running. I secured another 50% of the position and my stop loss is already in profit. Maybe we can hold on to this. We'll see. New candle in 10 seconds. So now we have another set of equal lows right here. 1, 2, 3, 4 equal lows actually. We swept the Asia kill zone equal low sell side. We open up with a nice volume imbalance below it. Let's continue with the tape read until we hit that target. If we hit that target, I'm done and I will be heading to the gym. Going to the gym. I won't be hitting it. Volume imbalance. Let's see if we fill that in. Yep, we hit the target. Since we hit it on ES, that's my rule. I'm closing it on the CFD contract. Close another 25%. Stop is, like said, in profit. We hit that equal low sell side. So for me, the majority of the move is over. I wouldn't be looking for continuation shorts at the low of the day unless you are looking for super scalps. The 2022 model delivered from the high of the current day to the low of the current day. Given the CPI news event coming up today at 8:30 a.m. Interest rate decision, right? Not interest rate decision, inflation data. Right here, that's when we're gonna get the news candle. We could simply end up building up some liquidity, get some traders positioned long or short before we get that news impact. All right, guys. Any questions? I think we're done for the London session. Nice NQ also at the Asia session low. Beautiful turtle soup setup. I mean, this candle said it all. Okay, we went lower. We have a huge wick to the upside, taking out these buy stops right here. Close with a down closing candle and no wick to the downside. If that's not enough for you at this point in time, well, there was no super clean 2022 model available here on NQ. I mean, that turtle soup entry would have been your best entry, or a low risk entry right here. Once you see that we break structure, maybe add a little bit more position, take partials at the midnight level, take partials at the Asia session low, and eventually full take profit target right here. In terms of 2022 model, it would be a little bit more difficult. Maybe if we look at the 1 minute time frame, but we also didn't fill the bearish fair value gap right here. No, not really. So yeah, that's why I played ES. Yesterday during the New York live stream, I ended up taking a trade on NQ. But this morning, ES just looked a lot cleaner. I mean, we were at the high of the day. We already saw SMT divergence on these 3 highs. Consolidated for the entirety of right here, 2 a.m. open. And then that's 3 a.m. 2:55 close. So we consolidated for 1 hour right here at 2:55, so just before that London open. We took out buy side, followed by a bearish engulfing, followed by the volume imbalance where I took my entry. I really could have added, now in hindsight, another contract right here on the retest of the breaker block. Stop loss right here at 50%. If we close above this bearish fair value gap, I take my exit to make a little bit more profit, but that's in hindsight. I'm going to make sure to journal this trade and what I could have done better and stuff like that. At this point in time, to add to the position, I'd say I was just not confident enough that we are going to not bounce off the VWAP or this 1 hour volume imbalance, but that's always what it's like. Let's see if we hit our target. Perfect. Nice. Clean trades. Nice executions. Let's actually see how much profit I ended up making on funding peeps. A nice 2%. Lovely. We actually keep on going lower, like I said. We have targets to the downside, and Q hit the previous day slow now as well. We're inside the daily bullish fair value gap. Right here, we could be looking for that 50% level if we're just going to keep selling off. Seems like we're doing that right now. Let me get rid of all these brushes, clean up the object tree, and call it a session. All right, guys. It was a nice tape read. Thanks for joining in. We'll be back for the CPI post CPI news at 9:30 a.m. or 9:15 a.m. I'm not going to be trading CPI. Going to be waiting for the New York opening and see how the market reacts to CPI news event. All right, guys, take care. Enjoy the lunch break. We'll be back later on.